Camera's not on. Oh, okay. Hey, folks. All right, we're live again here, and today we're preparing for Impact 2025. That we're going to get very much into in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, we'll have a pretty good conversation about exactly what Impact is and why it's going to have a big impact on you. If you're here and you've been part of the media community for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're new, well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. In any case, we're going to do that. We are also going to, this is going to be new because actually I haven't mentioned it. It's not in our show script. And so this is going to be a little bit of a, it's going to be a little bit of a surprise for Jan. And by the way, I think right now we have one of the On brothers, Storyteller, is here. Küster is on his way in a sense. He's got his kids on his hands, so it's going to be a little bit. He's going to be a little bit late if he comes at all today. But in any case, between you and me, Jan and I could probably handle this. I know we like the other Jan here also, but if we have to, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. But as I was saying, there is a new thing that I'm adding to this pot, this bowl of soup that we have here that we call this show. And it is simply this, which now some of you have noticed that we're very much kind of last minute in figuring out what we're going to talk about, what we're going to have as a topic. And so most of you who are from the community are finding out about this maybe a day or two before we go live. Sometimes we're able to figure it out a week before, and we've tried to do that. But this time, we're doing our planning a little further ahead. And I'm going to share some of what we're doing live with you. And Jan and I are going to talk it out a little bit. And so you're going to kind of like see a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes here in the show later on today. But first, this is episode 77 of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly newscast of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. Today, I'm here with you, streaming live from New York City, from my office, studio, whatever you want to call it, as usual. And with me today is...
Hey everybody, my name is Jan Werk, aka Storyteller CZ on social media, coming to live from Prague.
Excellent. And we're gonna play around a little bit with the views on things. If let's get the chat set up here. I gotta connect my chat, and let's see if anybody's there right now. Okay. Hey folks. All right, let's see what happens out here. Now, one of the things I wanna bring up. Ooh. That's interesting. I'm here under a different ID.
Yes, you are the community.
That is interesting. It's got a different logo. All right, so you guys might not be seeing what I'm seeing. You probably are not seeing what I'm seeing, but this is kind of interesting. All right, so now I've lost my thought. All right, yeah, you'll take over the chat. I'll move back from the chat, move away from the chat. So what I want to know is if you're out there and you're watching live right now, are you able to see the slides that we have effectively? Because we want to make sure that, as we always do, we do the news first, and that's where we're going. But I want to make sure that you could see the writing on the screen. So what I'm doing is I'm actually mirroring this on a screen, but my feeling is that this might not be large enough. I might have to switch to a view like this. There we go. And that might be better, but then we don't see each other, or you don't see us that much. So we've got to figure this out. Maybe I'll swap back and forth. We'll figure this thing out, okay, as we go through. All right, but there's our first story. And let me now I got to get to my notes. And this is now. So is this my story or is this yours?
Yes, I think it's yours.
This is my
Yes.
story. Okay. All right. So let's pop up here and let me explain. So Jan, here's the thing. You brought me the story, right? To read about and talking about the great AI UI unification. And I thought this was very thoughtfully written by MG Sigler, and Sigler is the person whose blog, the Spyglass blog, this is on, and this is where it's from. And this was written on February 14th, 2025. I guess he was thinking about his love for AI on Valentine's Day that prompted him to write this essay. But he goes in and I'm reading this thing and he's talking about the sort of difficulty that he has really using ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a lot of different models behind it now, and some of those models have like some submodels. And he complains about, this is really not the way it should be used from his perspective. If I'm going to a context-free AI to type something into the chat interface, and then it's supposed to take those words, figure out the context of what it is I'm asking about, and then give me some response back, then why am I trying to figure out which model I should use to ask that question? Shouldn't it just figure that out at the back end for me? And he says that this is something that even even Altman himself has brought up as an issue. I'm now, here's the thing, like I saw this, I read this, and I'm trying to think about like what was really the context for this with regard to if you're a developer. Is there something there that I'm missing in this that you thought was that spoke to that, or is it just a sort of a product design issue that they have that they're trying to resolve, or they haven't even they're kind of like, is this more of the enshittification stuff that we talked about earlier, where they're putting stuff out before they've really thought through what the product looks like? I was really trying to grasp what you thought I should be getting out of this.
Well, this one I think has, I would say, multiple layers, and starting with the many different models, kind of the promise in a way of AI is that, oh, you just need one AI, one AI to rule them all, and that's going to handle everything. And again, what we are finding is specialization. So similar like humans, we have models that are specializing with or like on specific different areas. So today it's very commonly said that, for example, the cloud 2.7 or 3.7 or whichever it is, the cloud models in general are better for programming. The ChatGPT models are better for some other things, and then we have, of course, specialized models that do just image generation, video generation, music generation, all that stuff. So instead of, you could say right now at least, necessarily kind of like coming to, or we started from like one ChatGPT model, and instead of necessarily having like the next version, like everybody switches to that and uses that, we have now people going back and forward between different models. So that I found very, very interesting, of that kind of the promise of constantly going forward is not being fulfilled. So in a way, we might also be plateauing with what the LMMs can do at this point, at least until we have a new chip or something. And then on another layer of this article, which kind of struck me, was just the title, the UI unification. And that kind of goes maybe outside of what the article is writing, but kind of got me also thinking, okay, all the UI for the models look the same. And in a way, I think also kind of coming out of that, when it comes to coding and other outputs, potentially what we might be looking here, and I think it's gonna be subliminal or superliminal or however you want to say it,
Yeah.
is kind of that's kind of where my train of thought went. Is is that, and in the end, despite maybe all of this, and this, getting back to the article, of kind of now going over to many models, we might eventually come back to one model, or we might come with other things to one unified output, in a way like we have, for example, there's a lot of the super applications, I think like Weibo or whatever, it's in China, and maybe what X in some dreams is supposed to be, that covers everything, messaging, microblogging, payments, all that stuff. So I think that's kind of where all my mind was going through with this, as I was reading it, and also thinking about just the title, because I think even the title by itself can have many interpretation. But kind of going back to the topic, as it's kind of, as even Sam Altman has agreed with, is that that's a problem. And like most people, I don't want to like when doing normal stuff, I don't want to think about what model should I choose. I just want an answer. So this is something that maybe in the future we'll see kind of the models disappear. It's like similar, like if you before non-computer person, but okay, you can choose Mac OS, Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Arch, Windows 10, Windows 11. It's like I don't care, I just want to browse the internet.
Similarly, like when we're building applications, right? So I don't want to think about what my back end is going to be. I don't want to think about what my task runner is going to be, or my package manager, right? I just want to build an app. So I guess it all kind of like follows the same kind of train, which is I just want to get to what I want to get to, and you're supposed to give me something that's going to help me get to where I want to go without having to do a huge amount of work. And in some cases, we might be thinking of it as needless work. Well, maybe I missed the whole highly, active discussion on that topic, vibe coding, last week. And I think, this even leads back a little bit. It has a little bit of that flavor in there. You need, if you're going to vibe code, right, you need something. You don't want to go picking which one you want to use. So if we're supposed to get to this thing where we just talk to a machine and then it does something, whether it's produce a product, create code, or does some activity for us, they need to do a little more work than where they are right now. I guess that's the point, isn't it?
Yep.
All right. I think we hit that one quite a bit. We hit it hard.
I think we'll have more discussions on this topic for years to come, unless we have some other hype thing that overshadows the LLMs.
Oh my goodness. Well, there is something else here going on. I see that, and I don't quite understand this, so maybe you can explain it to me. But that Node is now issuing, what are these CVEs? So they're creating a CVE, even though there might not be any kind of errors or failures. They're creating CVEs for runtimes that are at the end of their life. Can you explain this a little?
Yeah, I am a little bit confused as you are. Like when I came, when I first read it, it's like, yes, of course you shouldn't be using out of end of life versions of Node. You should always upgrade, and I think this kind of comes to people bugging them about upgrading versions that are already end of life, not realizing how annoying and totally insane it is. But it's I think we've seen a lot of people oftentimes having this sense of entitlement that everybody needs to fix their issue in open source, and it needs to be fixed yesterday on the version they are using, and they don't want to upgrade, and that's not their problem, but that's the problem of developers. So I think maybe they have had maybe one too many requests, then somebody was said like, okay, enough. Let's just add CVEs to all of the end of life versions, so that they just like kind of leave us alone. And that might be one interpretation
Sure.
of it, or another one is that there might be people who just don't want to kind of move and think, okay, just because there is no CVEs, then it is of course secure. But in essence, actually means that nobody is looking on those versions anymore. So
Well, I'll tell you
yeah.
what's really, and I'm going to just swap tabs for a second here so you could see what I'm talking about. But one of the things I thought was really fascinating to me is there is, this is from the blog post itself that this comes from, is that Node version 16, despite being at end of life for over a year, still has 11 million downloads per month. So that means that's still happening, 11 million downloads each month of this version of Node, which is, what are we up to? 2024 at this point?
22, 23 is out as well, and
Right.
24 is coming this fall, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah. So, hey, if you're not quite sure what version of Node is being used, first of all, if you want to know what version of Node is being used on any Node application, if it's just raw, just do Node-V, and you could kind of, hang on, you could see that here, right? But if you're doing it for Meteor, you would type Meteor before that. So it would be Meteor Node-V to find out what version of Node is bundled with that version of Meteor that you're running. So you might want to take a look at that. And then there is with Node NPX, and with the newer versions of it. And I did not know that you could do this, that you could type NPX, is my node vulnerable, is -my -node vulnerable, and it will tell you if you are using an end-of-life version or any version that has a CVE issue to it. So that was, wow.
Yeah, and so that follows what I hypothesize here, the second category. And in extension, I would say this will be issue, or this is kind of made, to kind of move the corporate users. Because as we know, once you install it in a corporation, a lot of the systems, they don't get updated, for years, if not decades. So if they add CVEs, then suddenly they will have to move, because that's even if it's even the smallest thing or not really a CVE, as in this case, then the people responsible for security and management, they will not care. They just see there's a CVE and they will be like, fix it.
I don't know where I read this, but there was also a very interesting, well, I don't want to use that word, also a very curious thing to me. It's not in here, and I have to find where it was. But in reading this, I saw also that maybe it was in this. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So it also says in this piece of copy that you could see on the screen that they're issued a tag end-of-life versions. So the CVEs that they issued were rejected by Meteor, and Meteor is this quasi-governmental agency. It's an organization in the United States. It used to be a think tank, and now it basically does a lot of Defense Department contracting management, and as well as cybersecurity work. And it says that those have been rejected. So I guess those were CVEs that they put in previously, and now they're putting these new ones in. But it seems that at the very bottom it tells you, hang on, let me share this again. So we're going back to the same copy that we were looking at on the screen just now, but it says that here we go. It says that they've been rejected, And then they've decided to update the previous vulnerabilities to cover end-of-life releases, reflecting their ongoing security risks. This means all new CVEs issued will include end-of-life releases and the applicability until we have specific information that indicates the CVE does not apply to an end-of-life release line. This is very, very confusing how they've written this.
Yeah.
And then they said, and so it looks like what they're saying is that these specific ones were rejected by Meteor, but at the same time, they're saying, well, this is what they are and what they cover. And it's not clear to me, so is it telling us that we should look to those? It's a little confusing. Anyway, if anybody in the audience has a chance to read this and take a look at it and figure it out, I'm going to switch back to I'm going to switch back to this so that you could do the scan if you need to, and then give some feedback in the chat.
Yeah, Alim, I want to kind of finish on this story because they also explain why they don't really care about end-of-life releases, and very simply, it's pretty much the same reason why Meteor is no longer supporting version 1 and will soon not support version 2, and that's limited resources. They have a limited number of people, even though compared to Meteor, it's a massive team with a lot of people and big foundation behind them. But at the same time, and depending on where they are in the release cycle, they are supporting somewhere between like 3 to 4 releases, which is a lot. With all of that, and if you look on the GitHub repository, there's hundreds of pull requests and whatnot. So that takes resources, and
I get it.
The same thing applies to Meteor.
Sure, I understand that entirely. It's the use of these CVEs as a mechanism for enforcing it, and the fact that Meteor is not accepting them, and I don't know is that the organization that actually says, oh, this is a valid CVE or not? I don't know. So this is my first experience with it, and I was kind of curious, about what that means in the end, and if those get rejected from whatever the central database that manages CVEs are, then how are you going to know about it? That would be my only. I commend them on trying to use this as a mechanism for, letting people know and keeping them abreast of what it is. And I get the problem, I get the problem.
Well, nothing moves a lot of the organizations as much as having like a security warning in your console. By that, I just also want to ask everybody in the audience, let us know in the chat what version of Meteor or Node are you using actively?
Yeah.
Let's make a bit of a survey here. Okay, Alim, what do you have for me?
Okay, so I found this article recently. As you know, I read a lot of adjacent articles on different frameworks and the work that they're doing, and what's interesting that's happening right now in terms of new ways of hydrating an application or different methods for reactivity. And one of them that I read recently was this article that was written by one of the founders of WASP. Now, I think that Küster had mentioned WASP in an earlier episode, maybe a while ago. I'm not sure. He thinks when we had a conversation, he thought that, we had chatted about this. But this is one of the founders mentioning their journey and how they've gotten to 15,000 GitHub stars. And one of the things that is really exciting about this is it gives me the feels for when Meteor was young, when MeteorJS was young. And there were so many different companies that were trying and building applications with it and putting it into production and working with it. One of the things that they said here is that, they've developed thousands, and developers with all backgrounds have used it to develop thousands of web apps, from side projects that have grown into acquired or revenue-generating businesses, to venture-backed startups and internal tools deployed with Fortune 500 companies. Again, it has so much of that feel, and They have a Discord server which has over 4,000 developers on it. I signed up for it a couple of days ago, and there are active discussions going on there. It's really fun to see. One of the things that they show is this graph about getting to the 15,000 stars, right? It's really, really small, slow beginnings, and then it gradually ramps up, and then boom, things happen. They went through a Y Combinator group recently. They got accepted to it. They applied a few times, they got rejected, then they got accepted to it, and they're blowing up. One of the things I wanted to bring to you on this, and also to Küster, is the fact that their motive for being is there's got to be an easy way for me to take an idea and to build an app without having to be really an expert or super aware of all of the components underneath it. And today I think they use Node and React and a few other components underneath as their stack. They say that the way they built it was they didn't build a framework, they built a DSL, a domain-specific language for writing applications that then, and that language basically feeds into using these components. I want to play with this. I want to try it out. I want to see what it's like. And so in some future episode, I'll come back and I'll show what I've done with it. Or maybe I'll do a live code with it and just see how it is. And if it is sort of this, super language that sits on top and it really doesn't care about the implementation components below it, then is there a place for MeteorJS in this? And I'm very curious about that. So my plan is actually, now that I'm on the Discord servers, to reach out to the folks that are actually working on it and asking that question. They did mention, and when you go to their website, so hang on a second. I'm trying to, I've moved myself over to the studio, and I was trying to move the slides and stupid. Anyway, this is the website. It is wasp.sh. You can go there and you can read about it. And they mention in their documentation over here, they mention the Meteor and how they differ from products like Meteor and Next and so on. So they are aware of who we are. I want to, as I said before, I want to start a conversation with them and see if, because they do have a lot of people using it, and I'm kind of curious to see how it works. I'd like to see whether or not there is a space for Meteor to be part of this. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Have you spent any time either reading the article or looking at their product, trying to understand what they got?
I've looked a little bit. I very much, kind of like the idea, but I'm still not sure if I fully got it, where it's going. It also reminds me, I think it was also Jan that mentioned another framework that came out around December as well.
Okay.
So which I have on my laptop, my latest open tab, so I kind of need to get to those. And
wait, can you share that? Or is it in a state that you could share and show us?
No. I don't remember what's the name. I have it on my laptop in another room.
So. Oh, you're at your desktop. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now I don't have it, but I'll remember, and it's like on my to-do list to look at, though. Probably that one is more traditional. This one, I'm very much interested to kind of see, because it's not just, could say, a platform, but it also has as you can see here, its own like specific configuration file, a lot of advanced stuff. So definitely something to look at. And one of the things, as it says there, Laravel for JavaScript or Node application, I think that kind of again gets me going back on say the original promise of Meteor, or potential promise of Meteor, which did not necessarily materialize in the end as more front ends got involved.
Yeah.
But that's for another kind of topic or deep dive, or something that we can potentially, I think, address in the future. Again, going back to my long-voiced misgivings about the direction of React and how things are on that front.
Yeah, look, my understanding from having read their article is that React is there, but it's not like they're married to it. It's just what they've gone with. And so I'd like to learn more about, their vision and how that works. I have to tell you, I feel like I'm a little bit jaded, because to me, it seems that, MeteorJS has either lost its focus or is not innovating enough the way these other options out there are. And so I see activity happening there. Now, it might be that it's just, I might be as guilty as all these other developers of, here's the bright new shiny object out there. To me, though, it's not so much the object, but it's, they're doing these ideas. Is somebody on the Meteor team aware of what's going on outside, so that, they could say, oh, the hydration model that I'm trying to remember the one that was like really popular last year. Is there a way to make something like that work, so that you have a faster experience for when you ship a bundle to a browser, and you get it activated, right? It's like there's zero wait time, everything moves, right? Things hydrate when they need to, like, are people working on these things? Are they playing with these new products that are out there and getting a sense of what is possible and what's being done, and then trying to figure out whether or not it really makes sense for what the people that are coming to Meteor stuff? And right now, I don't really know anymore who's coming to MeteorJS. For me, I mean, it was exciting. I think, I was just watching, and you'll probably talk about it a little later. I was watching, oh my gosh, Abigail's talk from a few days ago, right? From a couple of years ago. And where she talks about like the excitement behind, like, oh, here, you build this thing and now you have a product, and it just takes less than an afternoon to get it done. And that was very exciting, because as a developer, you normally have to build all of the scaffolding and everything else just before you can actually build what you want to build. And it seems that there's a lot of that gets people excited, because they really want to get to the problem that they're trying to solve, their domain. And they're working on config files, or they're working on, figuring out how to write a component or something like that. And I don't know. I just feel that, I'm not sure where Meteor's going right now, to, whether or not they have a North Star. To me, the North Star is, how do you make it easier and faster for developers to build applications quickly and get them into the hands of users? And I don't know. So I think, though, that this is not the last time we're going to talk about this. We're probably going to hit this a few more times. But listen, if you're listening to this right now, what should they do, Jan?
Okay, you should definitely give us a like. I use likes as a bookmark, that if I have watched something. So definitely give us a like. It helps us also in the algorithm, and make sure that you don't watch something twice. Or, of course, you can always watch us twice. That's also appreciated.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and give us a like for this video, or dislike if you don't like it and want to tell us that we need to really hustle more and improve.
Jan, I'm gonna share with you that, this has been a week of confusion reading some of these articles. And the next thing I think that I'm hoping that you can help me with is this thing with TypeScript. Let me get over to the slides and advance forward, because, oh, by the way, that was for the like, thumbs up, right? So you hit the thumb, okay? So there was this post in the forums about the TypeScript compiler, um, being rewritten to go faster in Go. But there was something that Microsoft in the article that this links to, talks about it being like a native thing, a native port. So can you help me understand what the hell they're talking about here?
So what it means that they are moving from, how should I say it? Probably it would be something like if Meteor moved from Babel to having the build tool written in in C++ or Go or some other language that is much closer to, let's say, we're working on machine. So that's the general idea, at least according to my understanding. And of course, there is 10,000 ways how we can say that. So they went with
Sure.
the we are moving to a native port of TypeScript, which means we are just going from, say, I'm not exactly sure what it was written in previously. I think probably some sort of JavaScript, and that now it will be in Go. It's going. The idea is to to rewrite it one to one, so there won't be actually any uh, breaking change. And I think that's
Okay.
you as the TypeScript user have to change in your application.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening is under the hood. The API calls will still be the same, and it will just be faster, because if you run it, of course, on a language like Go, that's built for speed and compiled, all that stuff, then of course it's going to be much faster if you are like a few layers above it in another language. So that is, in short, what has happened there.
Yeah.
And with that, the
So
post on our
I just read that TypeScript was first written in JavaScript and then rewritten in TypeScript. So the compiler was a TypeScript compiler written in TypeScript. I guess there is, because it's probably running also on the JavaScript runtime. It's not close enough to the metal, right? So
exactly.
okay, so this is the benefit that we get now that it's not there. So there is a very interesting quote here. That they've got. We've begun working on a native port TypeScript compiler and tools. The native implementation will drastically improve editor startup, reduce most build times by 10x, and substantially reduce memory usage. By porting the current code base, we expect to be able to preview a native implementation of the TSC capable of command line type checking by mid-2025. So they're still doing more work on this, it seems, with feature complete solutions for project builds and language service. And then I have in here an inset. Let me move us out of the way so that we could see the information here about the speed ups in the code base. So it is really, I don't know what type ORM is, but there's a 13-time, almost 14-time speed up with that. In all of these, though, there's almost an order of magnitude greater speed up in terms of performance. So, hey, I guess are you a TypeScript user?
I use it in my Meteor application, but I'm using what I would call the weak implementation, which is the Meteor official package, which does not penalizes you if your types are incomplete and similar. Because normally, if you kind of use what I would say the strict implementation, which is the community package, then if you have any issues with type, incomplete types, wrong types, pass from one place to another, then it's not going to start and until you fix that. So and that's just because I have a legacy application which requires a bit of a leeway, and there's a few little things here and there.
So Min has said that he thinks the speed improvement came from multi-threads from
Yes,
Go versus the single. Okay, so
that
that's
plays a role as well.
interesting.
It's not going to be just one thing. Having multi-threaded Go, it's also going to play significantly. The language itself is
Yeah,
faster than JavaScript runtime. That it was built for that from the ground up.
sure.
So
So I find it curious that we haven't heard from Kelly, on this. This is I thought he's Mr. TypeScript, isn't he? So I thought we'd hear from him in the chat, but he's awfully quiet right now. Maybe he's being chased by children or something.
or maybe he wasn't paying attention last week or so, and now is reading through the article and not listening to
Sure.
us.
Could be a lot going on there. Could be a lot. All right. So let's see what do we have next here. So we've got right, Okay. So I got to tell you honestly, there has been a change. There was a change that Mozilla made to their terms of service, and then they went and they changed those back. So initially they said that they had the right to sell your information, and Mozilla is of course the creator behind Firefox, and that created some degree, I think, of outrage and concern, because now we're seeing all of these different open source projects that used to be for the good of the community, for the good of the developers, and so on, cashing in. And they came back and they said, no, we're not going to do that. Your data is your own. That we're not going to do anything like that. We are, the word sell has a legal connotation, and if it's just like we share information with our technology partners, that's considered a sale by some of the governing organizations or entities or states that say that kind of transaction is what a sell is. So we're not doing that, and they backed off, and so on. So I wasn't quite sure whether or not we should bring this story.
There's actually a few more
So talk about
layers to it,
it.
which I found interesting, and I still actually have to kind of see, because there is also acceptable use policy in Firefox, which has not changed a little bit as well, but that got completely overshadowed by the change that, of course, they can, you said it, sell your data. Another thing is also expansion of what they are tracking. And the acceptable use of policy, for example, in theory, does not allow you, to view certain sites, websites, and given how things are, it's usually, of course, you cannot watch or you cannot go to corn sites and all that stuff. So that is in there as well. And
So
it's kind of a long-term trend in Mozilla, kind of backing from, you could say, the Libre or Libre approach of kind of being the open source and free alternative to Google's monopoly.
Yeah, the person that brought this up that you used as a this is the prompting, right? Was that Theo GG, who he's a YouTuber and he's an open source developer, pointing this out, and and then later on came back in, and I think there's a community post at the bottom here, right? This is now updated. Mozilla updated their terms of use. So, and then when I went back to Mozilla and took a look, it seemed like whatever the issue was doesn't seem to resonate as much anymore.
Yeah, and also if you can put it back up there, just I really want to switch what really was the outage, because it isn't just
Give me
your
second.
usage data or anything. It says there specifically as you pull it up.
Yeah. I'm bringing it back up to Theo, or I'm bringing it back to ours.
To Theo.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when you upload or input information to Firefox, you hereby grant non-exclusive blah blah blah. So pretty much what this one sentence turns, Firefox into keylogger,
Mm.
and checks all your uploads and all that stuff. So that is where the big outrage. I think people could today even forgive that kind of share your information or usage data and all that stuff with technology partners and whatnot.
Sure.
But when you put it like when you upload or input information through Firefox, that's where the main things are, and that's not even Chrome has such a thing in there.
So I guess the concern is if you're building applications, say for instance for healthcare, right?
Mhm.
And you are using, and your customers are using Firefox or whatever, you can't guarantee that no matter what the precautions that you take in terms of building the application to secure the information from end to end, it's Mozilla is saying that because you're transiting through their browser, they can use it almost like a man in the middle attack, isn't it?
Yeah, or even simpler, your username and passwords
Yeah,
as you put them in, because as so that was, I think, the crux of all that issue.
crazy, man, crazy.
So be very careful with wording things. That's
Yeah.
can be.
I think you pointed out also to me that when you take a look at this website that covers privacy, right? It's privacytest.org.
Mhm.
It's that you were saying that Mozilla has kind of like lost its way in innovation. Also, it's there are other browsers that are hitting, the privacy, um, buckets
Defaults. Yeah.
or features, and Mozilla is not nowhere to be found. So I think on this screenshot that we have here, oh, have I not? Geez, Louise, I did it again, didn't I? Hang on,
Yeah.
all right. Let me share this again. 1 second. I apologize, guys. I am going to share this back again. I hit the wrong button, and then
So
oh,
as a up, this
yeah,
is a test of the defaults of the browser, uh, plus sometimes their, if I remember correctly, their incognito mode, and how they hit on all the different security options that they have there. And we see that Firefox. I'm not sure if this. I think this is not the actually the how much they have hit points, but on the first is, I think, LibreWolf. Let me double check my notes here. No, sorry, Mulvat is first, then
yeah,
followed by LibreWolf, which is, if I remember correctly, a fork of Firefox. And then on the third place we have Brave when it comes to security and
right,
default. So if you are looking to kind of for different browsers than say Safari, Chrome, or Firefox, you can check it out here. The thing is that Brave is could say a fork of Chromium, or it's built on top of Chromium, which all the other Chrome-like browsers are. So Edge, let's see, Vivaldi, Ungoogled, and I think even DuckDuckGo and similar, Opera, are all from the same Chromium base, and they just build different feature on top of each other and set, of course, different defaults. So those are the more secure, and this is without any plugins or anything like that. So of course, if you have
right.
additional plugins and change the settings yourself, then your mileage will vary.
So I'm just going through the website right now on the different features related to privacy. It's especially that we're taking a look at here, and yes, you're going to see like those other browsers tend to check the boxes more than your traditional browsers. And of course, I'm surprised at how much Tor does not cover.
Yeah.
Tor used to be used to be the gold standard, right? It's like if you want to browse anonymously, use a Tor browser.
Yeah, with Tor, it's like a little bit similar to VPN. It's in the network connection and the procedures underneath that, which that's a different story. I just want to address here from Ming the comment, Chrome and others, that they have the same, including on Google, they have the same version. That is the result that they are coming from the same base, or like the initial underneath the boat, and they just follow the same release cycles. So we see Chrome, Edge, ungoogled, maybe a few others that are not on the list here. I have like the version 133.
Yeah. All right, listen, let's get closer to what happens with Meteor, because we've talked about a lot of different things that we've run into. But you bring us the Meteor news. Why don't you tell us what's going on recently with MeteorJS and the community packages, etc.
Yes, let's jump right into it. First, we can skip the promo for today.
Okay.
I have the website is right now down. I need to switch our DNS, but that's a different story. So first thing here, we have a new package from Jam. It's always an exciting time when Jam comes with a new package, and this one, I would say, doesn't disappoint. It's Jam Archive. It follows up, I could say, on the previous work from a soft delete package that was released, and this is a different take on soft delete, and I find it like a very thought-provoking, because normally when you soft delete is that you add like removed add flag with the date to the document in the database. Archive takes a different approach. It actually it moves the document from the collection it's in into an archive collection. So then, in a way, you could say it's more secure for you, that you don't have the deleted document in the original collection. I am very curious about how that is potentially going to impact on the performance of the database, because let's be honest, Alim, I think a lot of the times when we do soft delete, it turns into perma delete eventually. And if it's restoration, it usually happens very quickly. So that's I think very interesting, and you can have actually both of those packages in theory installed and kind of mix it as you need it. For me, I'm like really curious to see what is the performance, and from that I will potentially look into it. And as is usual with Jam, he has a automatic overrides for the remove async, and has archive and restore async commands as well.
Yeah, I would love to have John come on here and just kind of like walk through a bunch of his packages one day, especially the ones that are related to each other, and and kind of like explain like a little bit of motivation, like what drives him to write these things, and when he builds one, does it all of a sudden raise a new problem that he's like, okay, I need to build a package for that now, right? I wonder if sometimes that's where it goes, but he's very prolific with these, and I'm glad he's around, doing this, because somebody's got to, right?
Yeah, they are very, I'd say, utility focused packages. I think a lot of them that you can use in almost any application that you build. And I have a pull request where I'm adding, could say, the information about his packages into the official Meteor documentation. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring it back to the next story that you have here. And hang on one second. I gotta, there you go. All right, go ahead.
So another thing that we have was open is a discussion that follows discussion we had in Meteor community packages. It goes a bit back, and that's the request to bring Percolate migrations to Meteor Core. It was on the list in the past, and it was a big backtrack, but this kind of goes also back to WASP and Laravel for, you could say, or Laravel-like approach. And we believe that here that migrations should kind of be in core, because I think any production application that's being actively developed is going to, at one point or another, experience, or the need to have a migration in the core, or in the database. So this one is the idea to bring it in core. The interesting thing is that actually, for the old timers, may remember Percolate Studios, I believe was the name.
Yeah.
They were very, very prolific building stuff around Meteor, to a point where actually Meteor, back then MDG, Meteor Open Group, has bought them. So Percolate migration is actually under Meteor software management. So
Did not realize that. Okay.
yeah, so all the Percolate packages are actually under Meteor management. So bring that to core, I think, will just kind of finish up, could say, maybe the circle or whatever the original intention was there.
Sure.
And another thing that kind of also comes to this, Percolate migration is in the guide, and I would say it's a de facto standard when it comes to database migration in Meteor as well.
So just make it official.
Yeah, move it there, and just have a migrations package or DB migration, something like that. That's something that we have to discuss in the discussion to see how it goes. I could probably get back my old notes when I did migrate roles into core, and do the same thing for migration if there is interest from Meteor software to go through with this.
So, folks, I'm going to remind you that if you are interested in what we're doing and would like to stay on top of things, hit the subscribe button. Right now, we're at 335 members. God bless you all. Glad you are here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being part of this community. If you've been browsing around and just, peering in, make it official. Come on, we're I'll buy you a burger if you're in New York one day. I'll buy you a coffee or something. But come on, just hit that button, subscribe, join the community, make it official. Okay, it's not like a lifelong commitment. You can leave at some point if you want to, but make it real. And with that, I think we're going to move on to our next area, and which are the feature topics. And so today, by the way, as you can tell, there's sponsored by you. All of you guys out there that are subscribers, you're the ones that are making this happen today. So, and the ones that aren't subscribers, well, we're doing this for you too. So, okay. So what are we talking about now? We are, let me just lay the groundwork. We are talking about the big topic today is impact. And so let's just get off this screen for a minute here. Let me just bring this off for a second and bring us back so that you can see our beautiful faces together. Look at this. We're cheek to cheek almost here. We'll be dancing very soon. But yeah, so what I want to bring up is this thing called impact. So I'm going to turn this over to the guy that created impact, has been running it for a number of years. I am flabbergasted at how much he's able to do in a very short period of time. I've seen him at the edge of a nervous breakdown like 3 or 4 times so far with this. But I think he's got it all figured out now. And I'm looking forward to seeing what impact is going to be and being part of it again this year. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this on to my friend here and let him talk about what impact is, what it has been, where it's been, and then we'll walk through a few of our favorite um, talks, presentations from past impacts that you can actually go today and watch for yourselves. So with that, I'm gonna turn this over to you, Jan. Go for it.
Yeah, so Impact has started in back in 2020. It was that year, actually, also thanks to COVID and other things happening, was a big year for the community. Just before that, we started Meteor community packages, and we had a lot of movement, gonna get community moving a lot. And I've created Impact as a conference. It also came thanks to back then this company called Pathable, which did online events, or not just like online, but hybrid events and regular events. They had a really nice, let's say, nice SaaS built on top of Meteor, and I worked for them as well during that period. So it really came, together with the excitement and opportunity to run the event. So I've put on a 2-day show with full of speakers or talks, workshops, meetups, and yeah,
2 days
that's
was
kind of
crazy,
thing.
right? 2 days was
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, also back at that time, or even to this day, I'm also still occasionally involved in organizing some sort of conferences or other events. So it's for me to organize these things, and I think we've kind of put it together in a couple of months. It was like the first
Yeah,
one was like really fast, which for me is not, if I have the speakers, then I can put things up
sure.
very quickly, not a problem.
Remind me
And
though, with that first one that you did, was that 24 hours also? So was that a full 48 hours, or was there a break?
oh, that's I have to, let's see,
So
remember.
here's the thing
I
that
think
people
we
have
did
to have.
break
Here's the
in
thing that
both of
people
them.
have to know about Impact and what you can expect for Impact 2025. It's run 24 hours. It's a nonstop 24-hour event. There are breaks that Jan puts in his tea times that he calls it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like the chill sessions. He has chill sessions. It's really cool because if you just want to come and you're not, I don't want to overload my brain with a lot of, talk stuff or a workshop. I want to just come and I want to just chat with some other cool people in the media community. There are like these wind down times that he puts in, but I'm trying to remember. I remember that you were like out of your skull for those 2 days. And I don't remember it was 48 hours because I remember like I always remember when these happen. It's like I haven't gotten a chance to sleep. Like at some point or another, like in the back of the green room, you're like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, I think the first one might have been a bit crazy like that, and
Yeah,
the next two I've put period of time where I could actually go to sleep
yeah.
uh, as well. And also back then with Pata Bullet, there was much more opportunities for me to kind of also step back
Hmm.
because it was kind of session by session run independently,
Yeah.
which will be changing this year, but. Kind of get to that. So we have in 21 and 22, and then I just didn't have the time and energy to organize things.
Yeah.
So that's we took a break up till this year, and we'll be doing it again this year. Sadly, also after 22. A little bit after the event, Pathable has closed down.
Yeah.
It was acquired in a acquired company, and then the company that bought it has closed it down because it had other similar services, and in the internal corporate battle, the other services have won. So it was quite a big loss for us on that, and that's why I didn't do it in 23, because I didn't want at that point to look for and figure out another service.
Hmm.
So I said I need to take a break.
All those other services, by the way, I've seen a bunch of them. I've been on a bunch of them, and they are very expensive.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. So if you wanted to do like a 2 hour, some of them will give you like, you can run an event for 2 hours free. But if you wanted to do what you do, it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It's not cheap at all to do. So it's
Yeah.
and for a free community event, that is really difficult, you know. So that's one of the things, by the way. So I'm kind of curious about this. Have you thought about either selling tickets, or are you just making it free again for all of, or is this still being thought out right now, like how it's going to work in
So
terms of attendees?
yeah, a lot of this is still work in progress.
Hmm.
Uh, right now, I'm hoping I can secure enough sponsors and money to
Hmm.
cover the costs and everything, so that we don't have to charge tickets.
Sure.
We are going to run this if all the tests that we are planning in the near future, go through on Literal Universe infrastructure.
Oh,
So we have some, thankfully, some credits from Amazon. Hopefully, it will last. And we are actually will be using Big Blue Button, which was run on Meteor, not any longer in the latest version, but it's a I could say online classroom tool.
okay.
So it's very much well regarded and said to be kind of like the top tool when it comes to online classrooms. So a lot of fun we can have in there. And for me, we still have to figure out a lot of the technical details, how we are going to do it. Right now, the plan is to kind of scale down to 12 hours of runtime.
Oh, okay.
If we have a lot of speakers
Yeah.
interested, then I might consider either extending that or adding another day, given that all the other technical things pan out. Because obviously, if we were to run it on another service, then we are looking at least $10K dollars for just one day event and similar stuff. So it will be a bit more, you could say, adventurous this time around when it comes to the technologies.
Yeah.
And we'll still have tea times. We'll still have all the recordings. That's the one thing that we will need to
Yeah.
test.
Kelly, by the way, thank you for your comments on that. I don't know if you're saying that you're gonna volunteer to help Jan run this. I will pop in as I've done in the past. I think in the last couple of them, I helped out. I think if we coordinate better this time, maybe what I could do is, if we do run a 24-hour, then because I have a 6-hour difference here, and you have we could probably do something. And considering that I don't really sleep these weeks anyway when I'm doing these podcasts, I think I have a lot of practice for being able to help out in that way if we decided we we're going to do a marathon session again.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So that's terrific. So I think one of the things that people might not have realized is just how much stuff and how many people took part in these. And I don't think people have taken advantage of the videos that have been put out there, because when people ask about scaling Meteor, for instance, and how can you do it, and has anybody done it, we've had speakers that have come and talked to that specifically. Correct?
Yeah, correct. And I kind of want to kind of do two points here.
Yeah.
First of all, go and watch the videos. They're actually on the official Meteor channel.
Yep.
So that's there. And second off, this kind of shows you that you can update and rerun talks from previous Meteor impacts and submit to talk this time around as well. So just a tip.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just kind of skip through things very quickly here, because these are things we're going to talk about. But I'm just showing the playlists for the last three. Hang on, the last three. So this was the first one, Meteor Impact 2020. right? And then and that was the first time that this was done, and it was really cool. Um, if anybody knows who Abigail Watson is, she's amazing. She basically built a parallel version of MeteorJS for the healthcare environment, and it was called Clinical Meteor. And then later on, it got transformed into a package called Fire. I don't know if she still maintains it and still uses it. I'd love to get in touch with her and chat with her again. She was at one time with Adrian Lanning, one of the organizers of the New York Meteor Meetup, and I met her, and then I asked if I could help out, and she brought me in, and so I, a really smart woman, really very very capable developer, a very good communicator, and I have nothing but great things to say about her as a person, and as a speaker, I think she was very interesting, and I think you're going to talk a little bit about the talk that she gave that year. Right, so we're
Yeah,
going to get
I'll
into
talk.
that.
Since you've covered already quite a lot of that, I'll cover what kind of still sticks back to me. But let's start from the
Yeah,
beginning.
let's go back. So anyway, in 2022, right? So we'll pull it back here. So the first one here is that you wanted to bring up was this guy.
Yes, so this was a talk from Gabriel Engel, who is the founder and CEO of Rocket Chat. Rocket Chat is an alternative to Slack. It's something that I am constantly lobbying for to kind of switch to from our community Slack for those remaining people who use it. But I think we'll probably stick with the Discord going forward. But his talk was about how they build Rocket Chat and how kind of they stuck with Meteor through thick and thin, which for me is still kind of inspirational as well, because of course there is always pressures to kind of build your own framework for something big as Rocket Chat, but and also all these scaling issues. So it's very interesting, from that perspective, and also for me, very inspirational in that regard. That they stuck with Meteor, and they are still on Meteor, while others maybe have moved on, like Big Blue Button, because they find it easier technically to maybe scale with other technologies. But I also comment like on one of their Big Blue Button videos that it just seemed that they didn't want to invest the time to scale Meteor, and instead of chose something that was closer to their developers, which fair game.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just a matter of I believe that the guys over at Rocket Chat are in pretty close contact with the folks over at Meteor Software, so they have some confidence that the technology is still going to be there. People are going to still work on it. Perhaps that might not have been the same case with the folks over at Big Blue Button, and they might be just trying to hedge their risks, right? So, and I get that. I can understand. You had an alternate item here that do you want to talk about it? Because that was related to this issue of scaling, right?
Yeah,
So
and it kind of goes. I just want to just to mention it because it's again a talk that you can easily or that you should be going back, which is about scaling Meteor, or first steps on scaling Meteor real time data. So that one is those types of talk. They age, I would say, pretty well because a lot of the principles remain the same.
Mm-hmm. I found one that excuse me. Now I can't speak. I don't know what's going on. let me go here. So I got to tell you, one of my favorites from 2022 is this talk that was given, using Meteor to develop an online IDE for learning. Meteor's used in quite a few learning tools. Big Blue Button is a learning platform also. Mm-hmm. And our friend Küster also builds learning platforms with MeteorJS. And I think that it's there's something to be said about that, because I'm planning on doing some more tutorials going forward, and I'm thinking about using MeteorJS as a tool for it. I'm weighing whether or not I should use Teachable or something else that's already out there, because there is a marketplace. But at the same time, I think also maybe having my own platform would be a good one. So this speaks to me in that case. So this is a talk on an implementation they did. The organization, if I remember, is it ETHX or something like that? Do you remember?
Zurich, I believe.
It's Zurich, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so they've built this learning platform called Code Expert, and they talked about some of the. So here's the thing: like, what I was really impressed is they talked about they needed to make it type safe. They did things. They worked on it, and they were able to create type safe methods, which allowed for auto completion of method names in Code Expert. Really nice to hear about their deployment architecture. They use a number of VMs, and they have them, and they're not using a huge amount of Meteor servers. It works pretty well the way they had it. They said that they didn't really need to explore scaling by sharding, so that was really nice. And he is just Dr. Sishao is a really clear and organized presenter. He just went through it really well, and I really appreciate the fact that he put it in a way that makes it really approachable and very logical in how his presentation went. And I would love to hear him come back if they are still using MeteorJS on Code Expert. I would love to hear him come back and maybe talk about like the migrations that they've done if they migrated to 3.0, because I have a feeling they'd be very methodical about it, and there'd be a lot of useful information that people that are watching could say, oh, I can use this on my migration. These methods that they went through makes a lot of sense, and it's portable. I can take these and go with it. So I mean you were actually moderating this talk because you're in it at the end, doing some Q&A. So do you remember this talk?
I do remember it, but I don't remember the details or my role at the end, because I was in almost
Constantly moving around.
I was in most of the talks. Sometimes the introduction and then moderating the Q&A at the end, or being there kind of to help monitor the chat and questions for the speaker. So
yeah,
that was my role there.
Looking back, I mean, there's so many people that are in the media community that came and gave talks that I don't have like a lot of interaction with. I've not had interaction with, and I'm kind of curious how you ended up finding them for this, or did they just apply some of them? And Dr. Sishu in particular.
Yeah, most of the people who came applied to give a talk. So
that's great.
Yeah, and this year I'm planning hopefully to do a bit more outreach.
Sure.
Both to past speakers, but also to other contacts that I have. And just yesterday, and this will be kind of for I think the next talk, how I quickly found it, because I was discussing with one of my sponsors an issue that they had, and I've kind of came back on the talk from 2021 sessions. So I'm hoping maybe that I can get that my sponsor there as well to come and give a talk. So that's how I kind of came, just from as many resources as possible. People who are kind of around the Meteor community or like the open source in general, they will usually apply. But for people and companies, unless they are in the stage where they're actively looking to kind of do marketing or do outreach, I need to come to them and ask them. Otherwise, they are just busy looking at their project, and they don't notice that this is even happening.
So I think, the point here also, by the way, is if you're building things and you've found it doesn't have to be like a whole project. It could be like some very specific thing that Meteor was really great at, or there was an element of Meteor that you had to do a workaround. whatever it is, you could talk about it. And I think there'll be a collection form at some point. I think Jan's going to go into that after we get through the segment a little bit, get more into the technical details about that. But yeah, if you could be anybody in the community that has something to share. Everybody has something to share. And let me just ask you, I think during COVID, you took recordings. Also, people could pre-record their presentations and bring them in so that if they weren't able to make it because of work or whatever it might be, they could still present. Is that still going to be an option?
Right now, no.
Okay.
Well, I'll look into it, but it will have to be live, just given the nature. That was a benefit of Pathable, that we could have pre-recorded sessions, pre-recorded session and everything, because every talk was its own, you could say, event. This time, also a lot of the other tools out there are, if you have like event like this, it's just like one continuous stream. So we'll have to figure out how to best approach that, which will come out of our technical testing that we plan later.
I would say even if you feel that there might be a time issue, just apply anyway, because some of these things might get resolved at the end and it'll work out. But if you self-select out, then we lose an opportunity and you lose an opportunity to be able to to see it work. So although we're talking about like some difficulties or some challenges that we might be facing right now, I as a speaker or as a potential speaker, I think you should just think about like contributing in some way. All right.
Yeah, and I think for this, I just got an idea. We can have like a bonus round the day after the main event, where we actually put in all the pre-recorded talks. So we'll figure out something.
Yeah, I think having more content is better than fewer, right? So it's we could find a way to make that work somehow. So let me bring us back to this. So I'm done here. So Impact 2021. There were a lot of really great talks also here. You could see that you got into a like a pretty standardized format for the presentations.
Yes, and that's going to get even better this year, because we have thanks to Universe, a dedicated designer. So if once you apply your talks accepted, you will have access to our designer, and with him you will be able to design your presentation to look amazing.
So Jan, like out of all of the talks, and there are a lot of them, what was the one that kind of stands out to you, and what makes it stand out to you? Like, what is it about this particular talk that really spoke to you?
So as you mentioned, there's a lot of things like Accounts 2.0, which was big hot topic back then, and INTN. But this one, with rack suspense and Meteor dynamic imports, it was kind of new back then, but it's still, I would say, a present issue, and it's still very useful. So I'm very thankful to Renan for a great talk that I can still reference or send people to kind of get the background, get into suspense, and especially with dynamic imports. As I said, just yesterday I sent forward this talk to one of my sponsors who has an issue with, say, using dynamic imports and all those things, and he wants to kind of advance his knowledge on that. And even I am just like scratching the surface, and I should probably do more with these things, especially when it comes to a bit more to could say potentially code splitting and all that stuff, which this is kind of like the first step that you need to make towards that goal.
So 4 years out and it's still relevant.
Yeah, I would say so.
That's amazing. So that's great. And let's okay. So and then in 2020, this is the first year that you were doing this, and it doesn't have the nice thumbnails that you've had before. But I think this pulls out personality, though. When you take a look at this, right? It
Yeah,
shows,
it's
you know,
yeah. I think it, especially for Abigail's, the thumbnail that got picked there
yeah,
by YouTube is absolutely, or almost, I would say 4 out of 5.
yeah.
Perfect. Just need to put the title in there, so that's there.
The state of
I
the geomapping thing, that's pretty. I mean, it's not the only thing she talks about, right?
Yeah, so that's why I love about the talk is it's a lot of things. It's clinical meteor. It's all about the geomapping. But for me, what I think, and it was all the rave in the chat when she brought it up, was how she got started, or what was like kind of like the wow moment that got you to Meteor, which
Yeah,
were like the initial demo, especially in the case of the talk. It was the geomapping demos that back then MDG did, and that for many was kind of the big game changer, especially given the state of technology back then. So when she talked about it, like everybody like in the chat exploded, because we kind of got, could say, the nostalgia rush of how it was back then. So that's why I love the talk. And kind of covered the rest, so I'm also kind of going, before we go into yours, to give honorable mention.
yeah.
After my opening, if I remember correctly, there was Why I Love Meteor, and that was from Scott Talinsky.
Oh, that's right.
So that was Scott. I think from all of the speakers, let's just be honest, he is the most eloquent, has the best equipment, everything set up. So
Yeah.
watching his talk was a joy. So that one is also another big one to recommend as well.
Yeah, he kind of also hung out in the back, right, and
Mhm.
chatted with us for a while too. He's a really cool guy, and I'm really happy about all of his successes. And I'm a little sad that he's not part of the media community anymore. But he's got to run a business, and you know, and he's doing other things now, right? He's on Syntax with Wes Boss,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
and a few others.
And
So
he also is run his content. I think he's running his tutorials, and you can
yeah,
also find many documentaries about him as well. I think Scott will be happy to come back if we can kind of again get some wow moment, and
yeah.
maybe steal the spotlight for a little bit.
So for those of you who don't know, go check out the Syntax FM podcast. It's Scott Talinsky, Wes Boss, and a few other people, and they've been running this now for years, um, and
Yep.
they're really good. We probably should spend some time watching them more and getting some lessons from them, and how we can improve ours even more. I'm gonna bring this back up onto the screen because this is so awesome. And if you watch this presentation, the slides are great. Her transitions are great. She moves from story to story really well, and I think you're right. This is one of the best talks from that period. I will tell you the one that really speaks to me. Um, and I couldn't, you picked Abigail, so I couldn't pick it. You already chose it, so it's like, what's left. And there was a lot that was left, actually. That first year, I think everybody really pulled out the stops, and because it was COVID and nobody was going anywhere, like, we were all just happy to share what we could with each other. I love the workshops, by the way, that get put on during this time. And so I'm only, I can't, we don't want to talk forever on this. We could talk forever on this, but go watch the workshops. A lot of them hold up really well. And this one, the workshop on PWA, was done by Dr. Dmitry. It's Dmitry Golev. And Dmitry is one of the other Meteor ambassadors. And he did this workshop. I think it aged pretty well. It's on how to go about taking your Meteor application and making it a PWA. I think it still holds. I haven't actually gone and tested this recently, so that is a task for myself to do, is to take this and see whether or not it still holds up. But I think the things that you need to do, have the manifest, set up the config file, set up your cache and so on, I think still holds, even with Meteor 3.0. So it'll be great to give it a shot and see whether or not I can make this work with a Meteor 3.0 application. But again, it's one of those resources that you could go and you could take a look at. I want to, by the way, just shout out to our friend Küster, who has basically done either a talk or a workshop in pretty much every year that we had this, and he is wonderful. I didn't want to just spend time like shilling another host here, because I think it's really important to get some others out here. But his talks on like Claire and Leah Online. Leah Online is a community platform that he built, and he talks about that also. He did a relatively same talk for a lunch and learn for Meteor NYC. I think it's great. So check out anything that Jan Küster has done. Definitely, you're not gonna waste your time from these. And I think if you start with these sessions, either for your own learning, but also as inspiration for content that you can, talks that you could do, presentations, workshops, something of that form, those can give you some ideas as to the type of content that would be relevant here. And then, of course, there have been new topics, migrations, experiences for migrations that people have had. Working with the async model, I think, are things that could really matter going forward. I'm going to turn it over to Jan. I don't know how you're going to evaluate. I don't know if you're going to have an evaluation panel or you're just going to do it yourself. But let me just wrap from that now and take this off the screen for a second so we could just chat. All right.
Yeah, or maybe if you want, actually what we have a couple of announcements.
You want to pull the screen back up?
Yeah, if you can, maybe if you can go to the website.
The next slide.
Let's see now that we have on the next slide. So first of all, we have a, and I think, Alim, you have the wrong address.
I have the wrong address
in the top there, but
okay.
It's impact.meteorjs.community. We are using the new domains.
Hang on a second here. Well, 1 second. So before I pollute everybody with misinformation, right? You could keep talking.
Yeah. So we have a website. Actually used AI in my Monday stream to kind of get it set up, and since then I have updated all the information to be correct. So we now have a nice landing page. It just goes hosted on GitHub Pages, nothing special. But what you can already do there is, starting today, you can submit a talk. So that way, if you already have some idea, you can do that, submit a talk, and go to a potential selection into the future. Okay. I have also put in the deadlines for that. So this will be open till 31st July. Notification of acceptance of your talk will be latest on August 8th. If your talk is really amazing and we want it, then you'll probably get notification of acceptance much earlier. And of course, the conference is on September 25th. So,
all right. So this is the corrected URL now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Woo.
So that's all the information that I can provide at this time is available there. And
so if I wanted to, I mean, are you limiting the amount of talks that a presenter can do?
I'm not limiting it. You can submit as many as you want, but if you submit, 10 talks, don't expect that all of them are going to get picked. So that's also like another thing. If you have different ideas for the
Yeah.
many talks, just fire them in. I'll sort through them, and the best are going to make it, hopefully.
It'd be great to see a fun talk, mixed in someplace.
Yeah, that's hopefully something is going to come through.
Sure.
And yeah, it's for me, kind of this approach as we have it. This is probably maybe the nicest website. I was actually quite blown away by what AI generated. Of course, I had to make some corrections and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty nice. So the design choice, since I'm not the designer, it looks really nice. I think my company designer would have something to say, but I'll leave the changes for him to work on later. And yeah, that's where we kind of are at it.
Yeah.
Also, if you are interested in becoming a sponsor or your company, then that's available. I'm still building up really the sponsorship package.
Sure.
That's still a bit ongoing. But already, if you are interested, you can reach out to me and we can start talking, and hopefully find something that's going to work for both sides.
Hey, Jan, I know people reach out to you like quite a bit sometimes, like in GitHub issues and so on to talk. But if somebody wants a little more help with like more personal, like one-on-one, how can they get in touch with you? What should they do?
So if you want help, talk through some issue or want me to take a deeper look, I have consulting available. I have a call.com/storyteller page where you can select. You can get immediately on my calendar with it and sort out all the things that need to be sorted out. So that way, we can then schedule a call, and I will be able to look at your problem and help you out with whatever you have, or I can just, we can talk about anything related to Meteor and web development and see what comes out of that.
Well, only that we can't talk to you about JavaScript.
Well, that falls under the web development package. So
okay,
but yeah, my knowledge is limited, of course, to what I'm knowledgeable in. So that's around Meteor, JavaScript, Node, MongoDB,
sure,
all those things. The further you go away from that, then probably the less helpful I'm going to be to you.
Sometimes people, I heard in Japan you can rent a friend. It's like, can people do that with you too?
Well, you can, I would say not necessarily like rent a friend. Friendship takes a while to build, but you can at least, could say rent me up for to help with your tech-related stuff and to pick my brain for an hour or two or however you long need to. Or if you need for more, I still have some open space where I can accept to kind of do some small work here and there.
Okay,
on a long-term basis.
So is there a point at which maybe like you'll have on your Cal thing there's going to be like a Jan GPT?
I think that's a bit too premature at this point.
It would be fun though,
We'll see how the agents develop in the future.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, this has been a fun episode. I think we've covered a lot, folks. I'm trying to think of what else there might be to this. I think I think we're at the end of it all. So I just want to remind you that we're back again next Friday. Wait, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Because remember I said I was going to do this little surprise thing, that I was going to just do something here. So let me do this right now, Jan, because what I need to do now is I need to share a different document. These are like our state secrets. Okay? Nobody sees them but us. But now you're going to get to see them if you stick around. So it's up to you. You can watch further, you can go, but right now what I want to talk to you, Jan, a little bit about some of these things that I've got here on this document, and some planning. So I mentioned before when we first started that, hang on, I'm going to spotlight myself for a minute. I mentioned before when we first started that we we're kind of struggling a lot to get our ideas, and then to put an episode together, and then try to do something of a high quality for a Friday. And sometimes we've had like a 10-day lead, and sometimes not. Sometimes we've only had like a week, and we get the news, but then we have to figure out like what is going to be the main topic that we're going to be talking about, and that has been a challenge. So I put it on myself to come up with, and let me see if I can bring Jan back in here, because I don't want it to be all about me. This is not about me. This is about us. This is about like the two of us working together, and also you guys, because we are doing this for you, and we want feedback. We want to know what's going on here. So I'm going to share something with you right now. I'm going to share something. You can't tell anyone. You got to keep this secret. It's only us and everybody else on YouTube. Okay? So that's all we're going to do here. We're going to do that. So let me share this tab. Okay? Let me get here. I'm going to add this to the stream. Okay. And you'll notice that in here we have today's episode, which is the 24-hour marathon conference returns. But maybe it's a lie. Maybe this was just clickbait, because Jan is now saying it might not be 24 hours. It might be 12. So, I learned this along with you when you were watching this. But before, I was going back based on what we had done in the past. And so, anyway, it's a great title. I think it's, certainly some people are going to look at it. But next week, I want to do, Copilot programming with MeteorJS. It doesn't necessarily mean Copilot. It could be Claude. It could be what's the tool that you're using?
I'm using Windsurf.
Windsurf.
IDE. Yeah.
That's the big one everybody's talking about lately, right?
Oh, it's one of them.
Yeah. So it's so I want to just kind of go through the experience that we've had and you've had about how much these copilots have done for you. So if you have information, and if you have used it and you think it's been beneficial, if you're in the chat or watching this, reach out to us. You go to if you go to the channel, right, and you go to the about, you'll find our email address. You can send us an email, say I'd like to come on the episode and talk about my experience and show you what I can do with it. And I think that'll be great, because I think everybody's wondering about this right now, and we have our individual experiences, but we don't know whether or not what we're experiencing is just us, or if everybody else is going through the same thing. So it's great to share this information and let it happen. So that's my, and so the idea is next week we would come on and we would build something or use it to maybe debug and just use it live and see how far we get in a half hour. Okay. So how do you feel about that, Jan?
Sounds good. I think we'll have to do a bit of pruning here, because I'm reading here a lot of AI stuff, and I would like to also focus on other things. So
we'll go through that, but AI is big right now, and the thing is, we're trying to drive traffic to Meteor, and we've got to figure out like how do we get them here. It's that's, you got to figure out like what kind of candy people eat. So You know, sometimes people want crack, sometimes they want cocaine, sometimes they want heroin. We got to figure it out, right?
Oh no, we just got demonetized. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.
So anyway, you know, we're just trying to figure out how to get them here. You know, we have vitamin powder. That's what we've got. So that's what it's going to be. April, the first week of April, we're going to do Meteor in the Wild. If you watched last year, what we did was it was myself and Küster who were there at the time. Hopefully, the three of us can be here together and do it. And if not all three of us, then you know whoever is left. But the idea is that we go when we find applications that have been built with MeteorJS that are not that popular, and we take a look at them. This time we'll be a little more methodical about it. It's like, what is it that you know stands out? What does it do? You know, if we can infer the market that it serves or the customers that it serves. If we have deeper information, we'll share that also. But you know, the idea is to give you a sense if you're new to MeteorJS and you're wondering what you could do with it, give you a sense of the variety of things that people have done with it. And I think that can help inspire your own work and maybe some new things. So there's that. Yeah, so these are some of the things that I'm thinking about. As you said, Jan, we're probably going to prune. I would like some feedback from the community about whether or not you are interested in these kinds of stories or not. And if you're not, what do you want to hear about? What do you want us to do? Put those in the comments. Write them in the comments. Let us know that, hey, these are the topics we want you guys to explore vis-a-vis MeteorJS. And if it's not AI related, if it's not LLM related, that's fine too. But I have a feeling that a lot of things are going to be like, how can I build my applications with an LLM? Or how can I build an application that uses an LLM or uses an API for some kind of AI out there? And you know, I would like to get some feedback on that so we know that we're going down the right path for you for the rest of the year. So we have some titles here that go through the first couple of weeks of September. And hopefully that also gives us a chance to publicize and make you aware of what's coming in the forthcoming weeks so that you're not surprised on a Friday about what we're covering for the week. So you get some time to plan. So that's what I want to share. Now that I've shared it, I'm going to say, you know, I'm going to close that out there. And there is one last thing that I think we need to share. Do you want to add anything before we go to close?
I am all to go.
All right. So having said that now, let me just add that last thing. So next week, what we're looking for is AI game changer or just hype? Let's see what you think and what we discover as we go through this. All right, folks. And with that, I'm going to say, you know, have a great weekend, and we'll let me get rid of this, and we'll see you next week. All right. Take care now. Bye.